we're going to talk just what we alluded to there with Mary. We want to talk about being an educated giver, making your dollars count. Joining us, this is Kirby Burkholder with IFF. He's joining us from Chicago. Thank you for your time tonight and bringing your expertise to the table. Also with us, Michelle Corey. She's local here with the Better Business Bureau. They've developed some standards that we're going to talk about. And Amelia Bond with the Greater St. Louis Community Foundation. As the name says, she too is here joining us. So, folks, let me open it up to you all. Is it a bad idea to think of your charitable giving, your philanthropy, as an investment? We heard a little bit of that in the conversation there with Mary about how that's how people are starting to think. If I told you that's how I did my giving, what would you say to that? I'll open it up to all of you.
I actually think it's a great approach. Yeah, so many individuals typically have looked at giving as kind of a one-time contribution. And one of the most important things we see in the nonprofit sector is this concept of long-term sustainability. And part of long-term sustainability is making an investment in an organization, getting initiatives off the ground, but then also looking to support them through the long term. And I think when you think about making an investment, you do the due diligence, and then you want to monitor things on an ongoing basis. So I think it's exactly the right mindset to have when individuals think about starting to make contributions to nonprofit organizations.
Yeah, Kirby, I totally agree. I think particularly donors today, as Mary indicated and you've just said, is donors are really looking forward to be an investment and expecting the return on investment, particularly this next generation. And we see that constantly at the Community Foundation, is setting up grant agreements and asking the questions and asking us to ask the hard questions on, am I getting the return for my gift?
And I'll jump in. That's a little bit of what all of you kind of do. You all have experience with multiple different organizations, and Kirby, you guys funnel money towards different organizations, and Amelia, the talk about the community fund. You guys are doing a lot of the legwork for people in a lot of ways.
Right. The Community Foundation, we have about 400 funds, have about 200 million in assets, and we represent about half of our donors are actually living donors, and the other half have left their money to the St. Louis community, and about 80% of those funds stay in the St. Louis community. The remainder go elsewhere in the country and around the world. And yes, we are really there to help our donors and represent the donors and make sure that their money is going to being spent as wisely as possible and meeting the needs of the community.
Michelle, if you don't have a fund, if you just want to make an individual contribution, I know you guys have some standards that you set and that people can kind of reference. What do you look for to know a charity is worthwhile?
Well, for more than 100 years, the Better Business Bureau has been encouraging individuals to give, but give wisely. And one way to do this is by going to the Better Business Bureau and getting a charity report to find out, does that charity you're considering doing business with, making a contribution, do they meet our 20 standards for charity accountability? We have evaluated over 800 local charities, and 200 of those have now met all 20 standards for charity accountability. And these standards look at such things as governance and oversight, effectiveness, finances, how do they spend the money they receive, how much is going to fundraising, how much is actually going to support programs and services. So we evaluate those charities, we encourage people to check out those reports and give, but give wisely.
And I'll put it out to all of three of you. You touched on it there, and Mary touched on it at the table. Is there a magic number that you want to look at and say, oh, they're spending this percentage on the actual cause and this percentage on staff and lights and electricity or whatever? How do you feel about that? And is that something that you can walk people through?
Well, I'll tell you what the Better Business Bureau standards state, and on is that 65% should go to support expenses of programs, and no more than 35% should go for related contributions.
And I would just add, I think Mary McMurtry from Gateway Center for Giving did an excellent job of articulating this. I think that is really the start of a conversation. I think those measures as established by the Better Business Bureau or GuideStar or Charity Navigator are critical because it really helps people start to think about the administration and resources that are required to run a nonprofit. But I think it's important then to do that further due diligence and get a sense of organizations that have higher fixed costs, and then also looking at organizations in terms of the long-term delivery methods. So I think Mary said it exactly right. I think using benchmarks like the Better Business Bureau and then starting a conversation with organizations to have them talk about how they are good stewards of resources or not. And I think the transparency is a really important consideration. We're a 501c3 ourselves. We have our audits up on our website. We sought certification by the organization that does the credentialing for our sector. And I think the concept of transparency and being open to that dialogue is a really important initial factor when considering organization.
Yeah, and I just like to say, I think, the landscape is so large. I mean, there are 13,000 nonprofits in the St. Louis metro area. And, we have...
Okay, say that again, 13,000?
13,000
in the St. Louis
nonprofits in the
region
metro
alone.
area. And only in about 864, I think I'm in the right range, 864 have budgets annually over $100,000. So the landscape is huge, and it's just really important for donors to do this diligence. And that's why the community foundations exist. We give over 2,000 grants currently per year. Better Business Bureau, I mean, that's why this is such a key issue, is it's a vast community.
It strikes me that you guys are kind of the watchdogs, holding nonprofits accountable. Is that an appropriate way to look at this? And if so, is it working? Are you pleased with what you see generally?
Well, absolutely, because there's a lot of great organizations out there in our community that deserve support. There's also some organizations out there that don't deserve the support, and it's really up to donors to separate the good from the bad and to give, to make your community stronger.
And I think we also are seeing a lot of mergers of nonprofits, and I think all the various organizations that are involved with donors, and like the Better Business Bureau, Gateway Center for Giving, the Community Foundation. There's so many. We are hopefully bringing capital markets and efficiency into the marketplace, so that we do encourage mergers of organizations that are small.
Thank you all.